Good evening, everybody. It's nice to be on a pod where we can smile for once after a Rangers game, and the weekend has not been ruined. In fact, as weekends go, it's been a fairly decent one all in. But we are here, obviously, to talk about today's game against Kilmarnock Ibrox. And with me, I have Craig in a very blurry room. How are we, mate?
I'm going to change my name to the Smug King because, I'm very happy to be finally on a pod. It seems like forever since been on a pod where we actually won a game and were pretty decent. So, yeah, I'm all good, thank you.
You've been on a couple this season where we've actually won. It seems to have flipped around for you because last year you were the prophet of doom when it came to Rangers matches and being on here. And also on with Mark, which I think is probably the second, maybe third time I've been on with Mark. But how you doing, Mark?
I am good, mate. A Sunday I can actually be positive. A good result and obviously a decent day. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to the next, we go hour or so to chat about this game. So we've got something positive to speak about for a change. So let's get into it. How are you doing? You all right?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. If we go for more than an hour, Martin won't be all right because he doesn't pay overtime. So we will have to be off within the hour. And welcome to everybody that's in the chat. I've already seen a lot of you. I know Dorian's in there, Tess is in there, Sniper's in here, Beatbot Boop, and loads of others, as per normal for these reaction videos, whether they be good or bad. They're all always here for us. So we do have all the stuff that you'll expect from these things. You'll get Danny Rohls up, and we may do another one from one of the players if we have time to do so. But we'll just get into it. The team lineup that came out, Craig, I was kind of expecting kind of similar to Thursday night. I'm not going to lie, but then it was a little bit of a tweak and a change, and got the tongues wagging a little bit on how we were going to play and what formation it was going to be, because I went all Mike Bassett, England manager, in the chat and said, are we playing 4-4-2? Danilo in with Miovski up front, and away we went.
Yeah, it did appear that it was 4 at the back. I think we were, when we didn't have the ball, it seemed to be more of a 4. The way they laid it out on the Twitter post seemed to be a 4-4-2, but we certainly lined up with 3 at the back. Going in, which actually I think kind of helped Tavernier, because he wasn't expected to then maraud down the line the whole game. Obviously, he left that ticket's arm, but yeah, it seemed to be a good change. Personally, I think I was maybe hoping for more changes in terms of personnel, but this manager's already proven in the space of 2 games that he's willing to mix things up and change things if he has to, which is great to see.
Which does make a bit of a change. And also, Mark, as well, Danilo coming back in since his red card, first time since his red card in Europe. So the last time that he played, Russell Martin was still the manager. And yeah, he came back into the midfield at the expense of, I want to say Rothwell for this one. It was, because it was Rothwell that started on Thursday. So Dio was back in as well, which seemed to be a little bit of a surprise. He hasn't been involved at all in recent squads and matches.
No, I think he's obviously maybe got a feel for the players that are in the squad with a few training sessions. He's had a couple of training sessions, so I think from Thursday's disgraceful performance, I think it was nice to see a few different players in. Danilo come out from the cold. I wasn't expecting to see him at all, but it's nice that he comes back and gets a goal. So Dio played quite well as well, actually, if I'm honest. So it's good that he came back in as well. So it shows we've got some options, and obviously Danny's seems to be quite good at changing systems to fit the players he's got. So I'm quite happy. It's a positive day, so the changes he made have worked. So it's 3 points and on to the next one.
Yeah, we definitely got, and we got something out of them. We're not going to go like fully off the deep end and say this is the changing of the guard. This is it. The season's back on track and all the rest of it. It is just one game, but there was positivity within that game, Craig. And the way we started is probably the best I've seen us start, even better than the Dundee United game, really. All in, there were players there that were beginning to just show signs that they know what they're doing with the football. And one of them was Thelo Asgard. He seemed to be having a good, at least first half. I know he's got drifted in the second half, but particularly in that first half, he was coming into the ball and trying to play direct football forward. Geordie not agreeing with me, saying, what am I on about? We're going all the way, quadruple incoming. I will have whatever he is drinking. Craig, Thelo Asgard certainly took the game straight off from the bat.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty low bar, let's be honest, for this season in terms of starting games very well. But I thought we did start pretty much on the front foot, which whenever I got crowd you really want. Um, Asgard I thought was pretty good first half. There was one touch in particular that was begging for a goal to come off when he sort of flicked it around the corner. So I think it was Danilo, and unfortunately it didn't come off. That flick alone deserved a goal on the back of it. Um, Amazing what happens when you tend to give players a little bit of freedom and don't silo them into positions and suck all the negativity out and so suck all the creativity out of them. It's amazing, isn't it? But yeah, I think it was not the start of a new dawn. I'm going to be very very honest and very wary. We've had these games and parts of games before where it looks like we've turned a corner and we've then turned the corner and walked straight into a brick wall in the next game. So let's just take it as it comes. But all the manager can do at the moment is win games of football. And Thursday night aside, which was an absolute catastrophe, he seems to have started well.
Yeah, seems to start well, like you say, one game at a time, and the next one will be infinitely more difficult because it is Hibs away at Easter Road, and then that gets followed up by an Old Firm semi-final after that. So if there's evidence to be seen, we should see it in the next two as well. So by this time next week, we should sort of have evidence either way of whether it's getting any better or staying the same. But signs from today were a little bit. There was positives. There were little shoots of recovery. You could see it in aspects of the play. Cornelius coming back into that back four did seem to sort of solidify it a little bit as well. So there are little shoots that we can see. We just got to hope we can build on those.
That's exactly it. I mean, it's one game and we've won the first win at Ibrox in 5 months. So I mean, to just put a run of form together, and these next two games will tell us where we are. Hibs away, difficult, and then obviously that lot in the cup semi. That's another big test as well. So if we can get past those two, and the performance was pretty good. I think apart from that blunder from Butland, I think we done pretty well throughout the whole game. I was happy with the whole game pretty much. I didn't really see a massive lull or a regress in the play. We seemed to be hunting in packs and going after them and being quite aggressive and on the front foot, which I obviously enjoy watching that. It was good to see. So yes, it makes a change from what we've been served up at the start of the season. So hopefully in the midweek game we can put Hibs to the sword and then we tackle the weekend game. So like you say, shoots of recovery. It's promising signs, but it is one game. So obviously, like you say, we've been burnt before. So I'll be positive, but just eye on the game on Wednesday, and then we'll take it from there, basically.
Oh, every time I go to check a comment away, someone else puts a new one in and it jumps up. And I've been in trouble for that before because something came up. But just before we move on and start talking about the game properly, just a little bit of housekeeping to go through. We have John Bowie, 4944. I always got to be careful with no numbers. I do tend to get them mixed up. Has become a YouTube member. Now I can't see whether that is an upgrade of a YouTube membership or if it's a new membership. But either way, welcome in. Enjoy all the extra content and welcome to the Rangers Rabble as a member. So part of that Rabble network and the Talk Sport fan network as well. And on top of that, Spinning Bird Flip has handed out a membership to one of our subscribers already. So if you are the person who got that, congratulations to you. And the same goes. Welcome in. Enjoy all the extra content that you'll get from your membership. So we get into that game. Like I say, we started off well. A couple of players showing what they wanted to do. Magoma was another one getting down the wing. He had, I think, was it Brandon on that side, on toast for most of that first half. A few crunching tackles went on in him, and no yellow cards. Surprise, surprise. It was all a good start, Craig. We got there, but eventually our big Canadian War, and I haven't seen the Great Wall of Canada in the chat yet, but I'm sure he's loving life tonight. Cornelius was there with a really intelligent run into the box to get his goal.
Yeah, I said in the WhatsApp group that for once we actually played a free kick quite clever. We usually put the ball out, put the ball over the top, and no one's at the back. For once, we actually did it quite well where Tavernier quickly just ran up, dinked it in. Cornelius has timed his run to perfection. Because I can't remember, it might have been Miovski in the centre was offside. looking at the replay, but Cornelius and Danilo weren't, so timed it pretty well. Danilo was actually pretty unlucky because he's almost got his foot on it as well, and obviously Cornelius comes in with a header, very quick VAR check, but obviously that was just a formality really. The one thing I did like with Cornelius being back in, and it links in with Magoma, is this manager already seems to be looking at focusing on players' strengths and hiding their weaknesses. So Magoma isn't the best defender, so he plays him as a wing back. Tavernier is struggling to play at full back, so plays him at centre half. We actually had two centre halves then, Cornelius and Tavernier, who can both also play full back. So when we stretch the game, they're quite comfortable playing as that wide centre back because they're effectively playing as full back. Magoma then can focus on attacking, which he's very good at, not so much the defending. Obviously comes back and helps if he has to, but doesn't really have to. Gassama on the other side has got an engine, so maybe the ability isn't there to play fullback, but he's got the engine. So manager's already focusing on hiding things that we're not good at and accentuating what we are good at.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, I think that goes from things we've heard from Sheffield Wednesday fans and ex-players and whatnot, that when he went into Wednesday at the beginning, he had his philosophy, the way he wanted to play. But when he first went in, that wasn't the time to try and get it in. He would just go game to game, stabilise and get them playing football the way kind of how he wants to get them to play, but enough to do their job in that season. And I think that's how Danny Rohls started with us as well. Game to game, let's just win matches first, and then we'll concentrate on what I want to do at a later date, whether that be after Christmas or into next season. And so far, positive signs.
Yeah, I think he's not wedded. He's not wedded to that style, and he won't change. He seems to be quite pragmatic in his approach, where he's come in and he's had a week, 5 days a week to see the lads one game, and then obviously today's game. So he's been able to see what he's got, and then he's tried to pick a team and play in a style that suits their abilities. Because Magoma's good going forward. I think pacey on the wing. And attack, it looked like we had two at the back, and then you had the wingers really high up, and they were just bombing up. So, and the crosses were pretty good as well today for a change, which was nice. So I think he's got a style, Danny Rohls, but he's not stubborn like Martin was, and he changes. He's quite fluid, and the tactics seem to change during the game as well. So I was quite happy with his first league game. So let's just cautiously optimistic, but yeah, I was happy with how he set up the team today, and it worked, which is the main thing. So
it's Blue Shadow 01 saying he's hoping that I'm right, which means Mr. Rohl is a smart man. And my wife will tell you I'm never right. But as we went on, we kind of bossed that first half, and it was Kilmarnock was struggling to get out of their own half at times, and then Rangers go and do what Rangers do. But before that, there was a foul on Dio outside the box, but nothing was given. They played on. The ball gets lumped forward. John Suter, rightly so, fouls the Kelly player, gets a booking. And from that, they swing it in. They get the corner. But I don't think any of us were expecting the mistake to come from the player that it came from this season. Because in step, for whatever reason, last season's Jack Butland, who came out to get across, missed it. It landed at the foot of the Kelly player, who's 2 yards from goal. Easy, Craig, just to tap that in and run off. And all of a sudden, Rangers doing Rangers things. It's one each.
Yeah, Button's had a brain fart. I was watching it back, and I was thinking, surely if he's going for a punch in that situation, you go with two hands rather than his weak hand. I've just no idea what he's thinking in that moment. I don't think he even is thinking in that moment, and he's just completely flapped at it. Obviously, our players aren't alive to it, because why would they be, to a ball coming across the box and the keeper completely flapping? And the boy's got an easy tapping. It just has to basically hit him, and it's going to be a goal. Jack Butland of last season reappeared. Thankfully, later on in the second half, the one thing he had to do was Jack Butland of this season, and thankfully it didn't cost us. But Rangers have a way of even when being in complete control, throwing a little curveball in, and that's what that was just before half time.
Well, that's what we do. We don't do it easy at times, especially this season. But when you just thought that it couldn't really, when you're looking at the football side of things, not a Rangers side of things, and it was already a kind of a comical error from a goalkeeper thinking, well, you can't see much worse than that in one game. The Killy goalkeeper decided at this point to get you to hold his beer for him. No real issue. Gets the ball from a Rangers attack, which was going. He went nowhere. He managed to get out of it. He goes to kick it. It hits Cornelius on the back of the ankle, flips up into the air, falls absolutely perfectly for Miovski, who tucks it away. No problem at all, because there's nobody in front of him. He wheels away. VAR check, and quite right. So, Mark, the offside flag goes up for it. Just disappointing for Miovski, but you need to get back quicker. I don't think anyone was expecting it to come bouncing back after the goalkeeper got the ball, though, and it was just that comical 5 minutes that we got of peak Scottish football, really.
Yeah, the Butland one, I think I wasn't happy that it happened. It's a horror mistake, but it was good that I think it was good in the end, because it obviously then showed a bit of desire and strength to get back into the game, because then we obviously went on and scored another couple of goals. So I think it was a terrible mistake, but obviously the team made up for that and we scored another couple of goals. So I was happy with that desire to get back in front, instead of normally we would just fold, which was good. But that kick from the goalkeeper from that side was, I don't know what he was thinking, but even Miovski wasn't even switched on to it, because he was a mile offside. As soon as I saw the replay, I was like, that's offside straight away. So I didn't celebrate, because I thought there's going to be something in there. And that was, as soon as you seen it, he doesn't even try and get back online. So I think he didn't even expect it. So it was just one of these freak comedy errors that you get with Scottish goalkeepers sometimes. But luckily, our mistake didn't cost us in the end, and we've managed to win the game. So I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, we'll get into all the second half details in a minute. We get to half time for 1-1. I never thought that would actually happen. But before we get into the second half, because I know it's all set up and ready to go, we've had a bit of a problem with this because my computer won't let me do it for some reason. So I've had to keep Martin in the background. And if Martin is there for us, he can play Danny Rohls. Just a couple of minutes of Danny Rohls.
Danny, congratulations at a strong performance, at a good win this afternoon. What did you make of that one?
Yeah, fantastic. I think everybody was waiting for the first win at home. Today, 3-1. It's fantastic. Was a good result, but also some good performances from the group, from the players, and I really enjoyed the first impression at home.
That reaction from midweek, there must be so many positives you can take from that.
Yeah, of course. I think everyone felt it. Thursday was a big disappointed, but I think it's normal in the development now, and that's the reason why this first step now helps to create self-confidence, also believe in our strength. We have a lot of strengths, we have a lot of potential, and now we should carry on. It's a journey, it's a long journey back where we want to go, and that's the reason we make the first step, not more.
Players coming off the bench today as well had a real impact. How important was that in sort of the whole team performance today?
Yeah, I think we can just do it together as a group, and especially for me now, after around 6-7 days, to get more and more impression from the players, what they can do, in which situation they can help. I think it was fantastic, and yeah, when the players come on and they help the team and have the impact, I always speak from impact players, not from subs. I think this is also very important to understand, and sometimes you will start and sometimes you come from the bench, and then it's about deliver. And today was a good start from everyone. You touched on the confidence there. What can this result do for the group in terms of building that moving forward? Yeah, I think you can imagine how it looks like when you go in the training ground and you lose games, you have a draw, then it's still not a great atmosphere. And hopefully now we can lift it up. We have to understand that it was just a step, not more. And we have to play in the next game again with the same effort, with the same intensity, with the same vertical possession. If we do this, then we are strong, very strong. But it's about hard working. We heard the fans singing your name at the end too. How special was that for you? Yeah, I think this is always a good welcome. But for me, it was more about that the team can really enjoy also to make the work around. And I think this is for me a big part. Results, good football, and bring the fans and my group very strong together, because if we do it together, we will have a lot of fun here and success.
Well, there you go. That was the gaffer talking after the match there. Craig can't really argue with anything he said. Very sensible. He speaks really well. I know we say that a lot. Sniper absolutely loves him. He's singing the Danny Rohls song in the background every chance he gets. And he's quite right in what he's saying. That it's a step, small step. We've moved forward. It's, you're training, you get a draw. It's not quite good enough. We move on, we get the next one, and we'll just keep doing that. I mean, is plain speaking, nothing that we can't disagree with there, really.
Yeah, he's. I don't think he's getting too carried away. I think that's obviously his sort of mentality that we just it's a game at a time at the minute. Obviously, he doesn't have a lot of time to put his way of playing onto the players, just because we've literally got a training session, a game, a rest day, a training session, a game. So he hasn't really got that full length of time. It'd be interesting to see. Obviously, we've got another international break coming up soon. It'd be interesting to see how we look after the back of that when he's got a couple of weeks on the training pitch with the players that don't go away. But yeah, he just seems to speak very well, which it obviously is a German manager thing, because they all seem to have that mentality and that coolness when they're obviously speaking on TV. And yeah, I think I'm the same as him. I'm just trying to not get too carried away. We'll go on to Wednesday, and whatever will be from that. Part of me wishes that we just missed the first 3 months of the season, and had this new manager in since the start, but onwards and upwards.
Yeah, and Mark, he explained that the players that bringing players in, bringing people out. He said that sometimes you will start, sometimes you'll be a sub. You just have to take your moments when you get them. And I think today, subs-wise, although we'll come to talk about one in a minute when we come back in to talk about the second half, all the subs today, actually, when they came onto the pitch, actually gave something to the game as well. It wasn't panic subs trying to get the goals that we've seen before. These guys came on, they had a role. In some cases, it was just like for like. But the subs today, I thought, were overall very, very good, and they all played their part in getting that 3-1 win in the second half.
Yeah, as he called them, impact players. I think all of them came on and they all had the impact desired. So I think his subs were, because he took Miovski off at half time, didn't he? Which was good. And I don't think it's not a slight on Miovski. Obviously, he's seen a tweak that needed to happen, and now you obviously replaced him. And that sub worked well. And then I think any subsequent subs after that worked well as well. So I think he's seems to be very tactically aware. What he can read. He seems to be able to read the game in front of him pretty well. So it was all of his subs worked today. So I think it just was a good game for him, and he's had a good first domestic game. So I'm happy with that. All the subs done well. So, and he's trying to get them to buy into that. You're not a substitute. You're an impact player. To get them to buy into that, because some players obviously don't like sitting on the bench. So I was trying to sell it to them, and it worked today. So happy.
Yeah, and Craig, as IB rocks, I see what he did there. 1962 was saying a great job with the subs and the timing of the subs. They may well have been predetermined. We won't know that on what goes on. We'll find that over time on how he works his subs. But definitely when coming on at the right times when we needed them, as opposed to, oh, crap, we've got to get people on the pitch because we've got a bit of a problem here, and being reactive as opposed to proactive. These were very proactive subs today.
Yeah, like you said, some of them were like for like. Some of them were to make minor tweaks. Obviously, Mikey Moore coming on. It must be like a European thing, because I know that the Lionesses manager, she calls her subs finishers. Obviously, there's a starting team and there's a finishing team, and she's got that buy-in with them. So I think that obviously Danny Rohls very similar. It's impact players and players that are going to finish the game rather than, so effectively you're not a sub, you're still part of the team. But yeah, I think all of his subs today were pretty spot on. Even though at the time some of them were like, well, what's that all about? In hindsight, obviously they worked. Mikey Moore was one that I was surprised he came in at half time, but clearly with the performance he had second half, which again wasn't out of this world, but it was a lot better than he has performed so far. Obviously proves the manager's on the right track.
And then just before I do go into the second half, Aldo Penny just letting us know from the main press conference that someone asked, was Miovski injured? He said, no. When you see something is not right, you fix it. So he saw something at halftime that wasn't right. He fixed it, and he whipped Miovski off for Mikey Moore, as Craig said, Mark. Now, I'll be honest. In the group chat that we've got, I instantly went, it's a bit of a weird one. I would have thought, considering Danilo didn't do anything, in that first half, it would have been him that came off, unless something's happened. Well, obviously, nothing had happened. It was just a tactical thing. Miovski came off, Mikey Moore come on, and then, like Craig said, he did. It was his best. I would say probably his best game in the Rangers top today. But that's not difficult considering the performances we've seen from Mikey Moore from the start of the season. But I was made to eat my words not long after because the striker they left on the pitch, and Craig was very quick in the chat to point that out to me as well, scored with an absolutely fantastic header. And I mean, some of you will look at it and go, what do you mean a fantastic header? I'll talk you through it in a minute. But Mark, Danilo popping up with a goal, the kind of goal that Danilo will bring you.
Yes, I was, the whole time he was on in the first half, I was like, why is he even on? He's not doing nothing. He looks all fit. He's giving the ball away. He's not getting to the ball first. He didn't look, Danilo he didn't look great at all. But then he does that, he just pops up with a goal. He doesn't do a lot in the game, and then he'll pop up with a goal or two. So he's obviously, I won't steal your thunder, I'll let you describe his goal, but it was a nice header when you watch it back. You see how the technique to get it to go where he got it to go was pretty good. So, but I thought Miovski wasn't offering a lot either, I don't think, in the first half. So it's one or the other, but obviously he's picked Miovski because he's seen that tweak and Mikey Mills come on. And he has probably had his best performance. I'd say he looked pretty good for the time that he was on. So I was pleased with the substitution, obviously, at the end of the game, because you could see he was actually having a good game, and it was a nice little tactical switch. So he offered more than Miovski did. So I was happy with that. And then Danilo's goal was just, I'll let you take over and you can describe it, but yeah, it was a nice little header.
Yeah, and Stuart Henderson as well. Yeah, he's not wrong. Danilo and Miovski was worth a try. We'll discuss after we talked about the game when we've got through it what might possibly be come Wednesday night. But it was worth giving it a go. But yeah, Craig, the goal was decent, and I say it was a fantastic header because he does hang about on the shoulder of that defender. And then just before that cross is put in, he just darts in that couple of yards to get away. The ball comes in. It is actually slightly behind him. And I didn't really notice it at the time. It was only after when I was watching the rerun of the goals on RTV before I had to come away that you watch his feet and his feet change position just a half step back just to get into position to take that header and then to get the actual power to direct it into that corner. That was an absolute peach of a header. Technically superb.
Yeah, he's used all the pace of the ball to sort of get the power to head it down. But first viewing, I immediately thought, what the hell has the keeper done? Because that header seemed to be very much slow motion live. It didn't seem to be much behind it. Obviously, watching it back, you can see how much power, and it seemed to be faster on the replay, weirdly enough. I think the keeper's just really not really read it, and it's obviously gone in off the post. Danilo is very good at that. He's very intelligent. It's just a shame. Obviously, we can't tend to keep him fit. And I thought his best games last season were when he was up with Eagleman. He had that good little run, him and Eagleman. When he's played this season under Russell Martin in the friendlies, very much on his own, struggled because he doesn't have the legs to play as a lone striker. I actually don't think, weirdly, any of the three strikers we've got are suited to playing as a lone striker. I don't think any of them can do it. I think so. That's why I think maybe the manager will be looking at a system where maybe not two of them up front at all times, but similarly when Mikey Moore came on second half, having someone very close to the striker might be the way to go because, yeah, I just don't think it suits any of the three strikers playing. It might just be the way we've played so far this season. They're so isolated, but I just don't think that any of them are suited to it. So I think two or a striker and a number 10 very close to them could be the way to go, and it's second half it definitely proved that way.
It did, definitely in that second half. They got that there from Anderson 8512. I was surprised Danilo lasted so long in the game today given his lack of game time this season, Mark. He's got lack of game time, but he would have been training and doing all the rest of it. He is physically fit, match fit not so much, but physically fit, he's there because I'm assuming Danilo works pretty hard in training. He always does. When you see the training videos, he always used to be the one lying on the floor near throwing up. But he did. I mean, he done well to last as long as he did. Obviously, he came off again in the end for Chermiti. But it was good to just see Danny playing with a smile on his face for the afternoon, because he did have a good game overall.
Yeah, I mean, he had a pre-season, so he is fit. He's not been injured, I think. He's been training as well, so he's just not been selected. But it is nice to see him, because obviously we did put a decent amount of money to get him in, so it'd be nice to get a bit of a return for that 6 million that we spent on him. It'd be nice to see him start to put in performances and start banging in some goals in a regular occurrence, and obviously start having good performances game to game, and maybe, because we obviously need to replace the goals that we lost from Dessers, so somebody needs to take it upon themselves, so they need to split it between the three of them. But I definitely like the idea of 2 strikers, or a 10 and a striker, because I think it works better with the systems we're playing. It's not really, that's like you say, the strikers we've got aren't set up to play as lone strikers, so I think they need that support. I think we could have a 2 up there. You've just got to find your right mix, because you've got Chermiti, Danilo, and you've got Miovski, so you've got to see what the right mix is with A3 and then take it from there. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
And then I've got a question, Craig. I'll go you first, and then Mark, if you want to come in after. It's from our very own Iain Thompson. I probably shouldn't throw his questions up, but he's got it out there, so let's put it on. Craig, should we be concerned that Miovski hasn't got started yet?
No, and for me, there's 2 reasons. Firstly, he didn't have a lot of game time last season, so he's probably coming off a year and a bit where he's not had a lot of football. Straight into a team then where, since he's been in, he's pretty much played most of the minutes, so it's obviously a bit of a shock to his system. Secondly, I think we have to basically accept this season we're 2 games in, because anything that happened pre-Danny Rohl, I'd just like to forget. So I won't judge any of the players on anything that happened in the first 15, 16 games of the season. I'll base it on what's happening going forward. So the manager wasn't slow to make the change today, and it may be that Miovski doesn't play on Wednesday. But no, I think that once the manager's got some time on the pitch with these players and finds a system that's going to get the best out of all of them, I think we could see a different Miovski going forward.
And Mark, any concerns about Miovski and the fact that he's not really got going as yet?
No, not specifically, but I think he needs to start going. He needs to start getting going soon. But I think, like you said, he's not had a lot of game time last year. I don't know how many games he played. I think it was double digits, but it wasn't that high. I don't really think he had a lot of football last year, and then he's come to us. He's had a decent pre-season, but like you say, we'll wipe the Russell Martin stuff, because you can't judge them on that now. Well, you can judge them for the bad performances, but that's the whole thing. It was just a shit show. But I'm not overly concerned. But he needs to start hitting the ground running. Does Miovski need to start banging in some goals, because he is a good player. We've seen it. I think once Danny Rohls gets the lie of the land and gets the tactics the way he wants them and gets them set up how he wants to set them up, I think you might see a few players coming onto a game. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Cautiously optimistic.
I mean, could Wednesday, let's see, like I said, I told you he'd be around somewhere. Great Wall of Canada is in, and buzzing that Cornelius got his first goal today. Could the likes of Wednesday and next Sunday, when it comes to Miovski, be the type of games that he'll thrive in? Because we all know he can do it, and we can score goals in this league, because he did it at Aberdeen. But when he played for Aberdeen, teams weren't setting up 10 men behind the ball, break us down type of deal, where we're going to Easter Road, they're going to come out and play, and they'll leave gaps at the back. And obviously, I know from Derby, there's always space for strikers to find, because they're not going to sit 10 men behind the ball. So could the next 2 games actually be beneficial for Miovski, and he could actually get himself off the mark and build some confidence if chosen to play, Craig?
Yeah, he's not the type of striker, I don't think, that likes playing with his back to goal. He's not a Dessers, for example, that was pretty decent at holding the ball with his back to goal and bringing other players in. Miovski's strengths is running in behind, which obviously we don't really have a lot of space to do when we're playing the likes of Kilmarnock and Falkirk. So I do think that next 2 games could be good, because Wednesday night we'll have a lot of the ball, but generally it's the type of game where we'll probably play a bit more on the counter attack. And Sunday again will be a game where we've got pockets of space, So hopefully Miovski can take advantage of those. He always liked, when he was at Aberdeen, he always liked playing against us and them. He always seemed to do well. So hopefully that can continue. And obviously the first game when he joined us, yes, he didn't score and he was just in the door, but he seemed to have a decent game that day. So cautiously optimistic for the next two. And I guess if he gets picked, which hopefully he does, in some form of a two, then we'll be sat here next week thinking, like, what concerns did we have? Miovski's up and running.
Yeah, and we'll leave Miovski there because we'll come back to him probably after we've finished talking about the game itself, Mark. But we all got to witness a little bit of history today as well, because like we said before, Danilo went off, Chermiti came on. And the little bit of history we got to see was Yusuf Chermiti scoring his first ever professional league goal at an adult level. Not an easy thing to say. Sounds easy, it's not. He scored goals obviously for the under-21s in Portugal and all that sort of deal, but this was his first proper adult goal that mattered for anyone. At first I thought it was an absolute worldie, and then I saw the replays, and then the forward face of replay from the Brumland showing you what really happened. But I couldn't be happier for the lad just to get one, because that does take a bit of the edge off him. Now he's actually scored. I'm not going to say again that this is at the start of the Chermiti era, but it's just nice to see him get that goal. Can't say I'm overly pleased with his celebration, but he's free to do what he wants. But yeah, Chermiti finally off the mark in his career as a forward for anyone, but particularly us.
Oh, that's all that I care about, is that he scores for us. That's the main thing. But because the amount of money we paid for him, I want to see him banging him some goals. So I'm pleased for the big lad. Celebration is whatever. It depends who he's aiming it at, but it is whatever. He can do what he wants to do. But I think he needs to concentrate on banging in the goals before he starts going on about talk, because he scored one goal in 2 years. There's not really a lot to brag about, so I think he needs to start banging in the goals on a regular basis, and then he can do things like that. But I mean, I've seen the goal as well. There was a bit of power in it, because that goalkeeper's wrist is just gone, unless he's just got weak wrists. But it was a good shot. It was a good strong shot, and it's obviously bounced off his wrist and then went in. So that's the main thing. It should give him some confidence going into Wednesday. And hopefully he does start going on a run, and we can start replacing some of Dessel's goals, because we're going to need it. If we're going to turn around this season, we're going to need not just him, we're going to need it across the board. Players to start turning up with goals here and there to try and claw our way back up this table and put in some decent performances. So I'm happy for the big lad, especially with the money we've paid for him. Or maybe it was a bit of a weight around his neck, but let's get him confident and firing, and then hopefully he'll start banging in some goals and we'll get the best out of him for the next couple of seasons.
And Craig Gallant been waiting for that Chermiti go, and he missed it. That's what happens. I don't know what it was that made you miss it. You probably went to the loo. That's what happens with me. I go to the loo and miss things. That's why you never get up during a game. Just stay there until there's a serious break in play. But yeah, Chermiti getting his first goal. We don't care how they go in. I mean, I still class Scott Nisbet's goal as goal of the century against Bruges in the Champions League in '92. But I thought overall when he came on again, I thought he played really well. I think he held the ball up well. He kind of did the things we were expecting, the ragdoll in the defenders, and he got his goal as well. So for his cameo appearance, it was a pretty decent 20 minutes or so on the pitch.
Yeah, I'd like to think his strike was more out of spotting the opportunity. It might just have been that he couldn't run with the ball that far into the box. I think he has taken the keeper a bit by surprise by hitting it so early. And again, like you guys, at first I thought, what a worldie that is. Obviously watched it back and really couldn't care that the keeper has smashed it in, has palmed it in. It was a very good strike. Hopefully we're not waiting that long for the next goal. I'll take 3 days for the next goal, thank you, and then 4 days for the one after that. Would be a very good week for Chermiti. He has a chance there to write himself into Rangers folklore in a week, get his first goal, and would be quite poetic for all the sort of talk over the last few days and on this pod and other pods around the sort of the price tag, the albatross around his neck. Again, none of it is his fault. The big weight on his shoulders would be very poetic for that. So whoever's on the pod next week is sat here celebrating a Chermiti winner in the semi-final.
Well, I said it because I said it's already turned around where you were the sort of the bringer of defeats last year. You seem to be the bringer of victories this season. So it may well be you that gets to sit in this chair. That way we might be talking about another one.
I'm not on it next Sunday, unfortunately. I'm on Friday.
No, me either. I'm not on next week at all because it's half term in England, so it's a bit tricky to be on pods with the kids running around all the time because I want to be doing stuff. But anyway, enough of that. Like Mark, we moved on from that. We had the ball in the back of the net again when Raskin he ran for it. He took a heavy touch and the ball broke out to Mikey Moore. He played it first time. I don't think there's much more Mikey Moore could have done in that sense. It went through to Raskin, who put it away tidily in the corner, and off he went, celebrating in the corner, only to see the flag up. And this one took a day and an age for them to figure out. Which then that kind of tells you, I think Martin said it on the watch along, that if it's going to take this long, you stay with the decision that you've got on the field because you can't work it out. And that turned out to be the case. So a fifth goal of the day, but ruled out this time for offside by probably a toe.
Yeah. And that's where I don't agree. If it's a toe and it took them 2.5 minutes or just under 3 minutes to make that decision, that's telling you that it's fractions. If it's fraction like that, there's no benefit. There's no advantage by the attacker having his toe in front of the other. So then I would say you go with it. You give the benefit of the doubt to the attacker in that sense. You don't rule it off because there's a toenail in front. That's a bit over the top to me. Do you know what I mean? It took them, I think it was just about 3 minutes to come to a decision.
3.5.
Yeah, there you go. So even more, but I like the little interplay between them, and there was a few times during the game where there was little interplay between the players. Mikey Moore was involved in a few of them. Asgard had a couple of nice little turns and little flicks in that, so I was quite impressed with some of that play. But for that specific incident you're talking about, I mean, if you're going to go that long, surely the goal stands. Or like you said, you can go with a decision on the field, but then they're going to flag it because it's going to go to VAR anyway. So I think you then, if it's that close, you give the benefit to the attacker. But it was a nice little interplay, but unfortunately it's cut off. It should have been 5 today. Well, 4 because Miovski was miles off, but it should have been 4. So overall, I'm happy. But at the time, I was raging because when I actually celebrated that, because I thought that's a banging goal, and then it gets cut off. So
yeah, I mean, Craig, can you? This just shows you where VAR lets itself down because it should never take that long to make that amount of decisions. But even for Rangers and that lot across the city, we don't have the camera angles the same way that they would have in the EPL, for example, or the top 5 leagues. And some of the lines we have seen in the past, they're not always straight. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be taking 3.5 minutes to come to a decision on that.
No, if in my mind, if you're not seeing it within like 30 seconds or a minute, it's not clear and obvious. I tend to agree with what a lot of people have said in the past, that they should bring in some sort of appeal system with VAR, that you get maybe one appeal each half, and you then decide if you want to appeal a decision. If the decision is right, then you keep your appeal. If it's not, then you lose your appeal. It would take all the nonsense out of it and all these 3 and 4 minute breaks in play. No wonder we get players being injured across the game when they're going hell for leather for 5-10 minutes and then having to stop for 4 minutes because there's a VAR decision going on, or games are going on to 110 minutes because of all the stoppages. But yeah, so for me, it would either be an appeals, or it would be literally if you can't notice it in 30 seconds or a minute, then the on-field decision stands. If the on-field decision was an offside, then it stands.
Yeah. And it showed that there was only going to be 2 minutes of injury time, because when they flashed the board up, it ended up being 5, which takes into account the 3 minutes for the VAR. Again, where they got 2 from, not entirely sure, because both teams brought on their 5 subs, so that should have been at least 3 minutes, 4 minutes, but doesn't matter. We won 3-1. We weren't holding on and wishing that injury time would disappear. Game finished 3-1 to us. We have our first home win of the season, and it's the day the clocks go back. That should never happen. But like Craig says, we will wipe away the misery that was previous. Our season is 2 games old under Danny Rohls, and we'll move on from there. We did have a question earlier chucked in from Paul McGorkle. He was saying, thoughts on our midfield? Do you think that's the best option, having Dio, Raskin, and Asgard as your centre pivoting three with Gassama and whoever playing on the other side? Mark, is that the way we go forward, or do you reckon there's an improvement for that midfield?
I think it's going to be a case of horses for courses. Basically, each game you'll pick your best. Obviously, you've got to be good in training. You've got to show it in the games as well. So I think it will change. But they are three of the better quality midfielders we've got. I'd say obviously Raskin, Dio are probably the better two. And then obviously you've got Asgard, that's fine. But I think that's a good middle three, but I think you've got to change it up. That's why we've got a bit of depth in there. If you look at the midfield, we've got a few other players that we could throw in there. So I think it'll be, with the amount of games we've got, you're going to see changes. But that core three, yes, probably is the best three that we've got, but you can't obviously play them to death, otherwise they'll burn out. So I think it's going to be horses for courses, but I do like that three.
And Craig, you were agreeing with Paul because he said he does think that's the best option for that midfield role. Would you stick with that, or would you change it up at all?
I agree with Mark. I think it is basically based on the games. I think there'll be games when Lyle Cameron is one of the best free options. There'll be games when Barron is one of the best options. There'll be certain games when we need a bit of fight in there. So you maybe have a Barron instead of Diamande, because Diamande's strength is to certainly not being up for a battle. And there will be games, I'm going to say it now, there will be games where Joe Rothwell will come in. Hopefully Danny Rohl will get him in an ice bath or some of that special coffee and get him actually moving over the next few weeks. But there will be games when he's needed. Some games we'll need a two sitting and a one further forward. Other games we'll need a one and a two. I always thought our best football over the last few years was played when we had the Kamara Davis Jack free, where it was three sort of quite close together central midfielders. And I think you have like a Barron. You could have a midfield, say, of a Barron, Raskin, and Cameron, who are all very similar, but would be a game when you need a bit of a terrier in the midfield. Asgard, I think, can play certain games when we need a bit of creativity, but I think it would definitely depend on the games. I think the midfield three or two, however many it is, I wouldn't expect to see that remaining the same very often back to back in back to back games.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Great Wall had it kind of smashed on there. He's got the rotation system set up. Maybe the Great Wall of Canada is really Danny Rohl. We'll never know. Never seen them in the same room twice at the same time, shall I say. Shona coming in as well, saying that she was critical of players like Chermiti, Moore and Asgard, but now seeing how they do under Rohl, all of them look much better. We're 2 games into Danny Rohl, and you can't argue with that. Even with Stevie Smith, they look better. Particularly Asgard. I think Asgard's slowly beginning to show us that he is the player that we were thinking he was, Mark. But I don't think Shona's wrong. I think those 3 players today, they were all very good when they had their moments on the pitch.
Yeah, that comment, I agree with that comment. She's right. They have tended to be, well, they're not the only ones. I think the whole team's been terrible the whole season, pretty much. So, apart from Jack Butland, surprisingly today he has a howler, but I think he's been on the decent one this year. But I think we just, like you say, just forget about that and just focus on now. Start the season again from now, and then the players do look a bit freer, a bit more relaxed. I don't know whatever Russell Martin was doing with them, but obviously he was stifling them and making them not perform, nervous. I don't know what it was. You'll never know because you're not in that environment, but there definitely was something wasn't right. But they seem to be already loosening up a little bit and starting to play like I thought they could play when we were bringing them in. I thought, because obviously you researched the players, and I thought, but apart from Chermiti, because he's not really done anything, but Asgard, I was like, yeah, I saw his highlights and he looked pretty good. Moore, I seen some of his highlights and I thought, yeah, he's good. He could fit into this team. A bit young, but we'll take him on alone. It's fine. So, and they're just 3 of the whole squad. I think. Look, Magoma looked, to me, he was really good today. I don't know what everybody else thought, but I thought Magoma was really good today. I didn't really see anybody that was overly poor today. I don't know if we pointed at one player that was really poor today at all. So I think they've been, the shackles have been let off basically.
I could bring out one player, but we discussed that man to death. I don't think Tav had a particularly decent game today. I think he played us into trouble a lot. Kilmarnock still used that ball over the top into his position because he knew it was the place to get in. I think he took a wild swipe in the first half to try and get rid of the ball and ended up nearly costing us. But I mean, that's being picky if you're picking for bad performances. But like you said, I think pretty much to a man, pretty much everyone had a fairly decent game. I mean, without the cross in from Tav, you don't get your goal because that's the quality that Tav can deliver as well. So, but there's just moments with Tav. But you're always going to get that. I don't think that you can get that out of his game now. He's far too old.
We know how limited he is, don't we? We know how limited he is defensively, but his legs have gone, so it's going to happen. I think this is going to be the last season that he's going to be a starter. I can see that. I think it's a season too late, but I think it's definitely going to be this season will be his last as a starter. Yeah. And we going for Danny Rohls. Scott Kearney's telling us that you can actually see the players understand the tactics that he's trying to play, which then frees them up a bit. Because I think that so much information from Russell Martin, like Mark said, stifled them. But Danny Rohls keeping it simple, just do the things you need to do to win games. And him saying that he wants to go forward, not back. He understands you got to go back sometimes, but we need to go forward. And you can see players doing that, Greg, already. That they're trying to play forward through the lines as opposed to trying to pass them to death around the lines.
Yeah, there was a comment pre the European game the other day. I think it was Asgard was in the press conference. In the first 5 seconds of his press conference, he mentioned about the manager not overloading them with information. And there was a look on Asgard's face when he said that told you everything you needed to know about the previous regime, about being overloaded with information. This manager is basically giving them instructions because they need instructions. My voice is one tone because I have a 2-year-old son about 20 feet from me, so I don't want to be responsible for waking him up.
If you wake him up, you put him back to sleep. That's the rule.
I wake him up, I'm off this podcast for the next week. No, the manager's giving them instructions, letting them play the game, giving them instructions, and letting them basically, as I said earlier, accentuating their strengths, hiding their weaknesses, and just basically getting them to do what they're good at, which I'm hoping will continue.
Yeah. I mean, the more we get through the Rohl stuff, the more I am actually beginning to buy into it even more. Let me get up there. If it come up, there we go. Sniper again. What I liked about Rohl today, or Rohl, however you pronounce that, was how animated he was actually on the touchline. I didn't get to see much of it because obviously you only get what you see on the TV, but you can see him moving about on that touchline, something that Russell Martin never did. So he's there with the players, Mark, kicking every ball, really.
Yeah, no, that's what I was surprised with that because what did they say? He's the iPad manager or the iPad assistant. So I think now he's the manager. He's the head coach, whatever you want to call it. He's given that up, and he was quite animated on the touchline, which I like. And then when they scored, you could see him like, "Come on, lads, let's get back into it," and then let's go. And then when they scored again, he was doing the same. I think for the whole match, pretty much, he was quite animated. And he had the brogues on, the brown ones, and the suit, so I'm happy with that. Sold. Yeah, motivated, so it was good. It was good to see somebody with a bit of passion in the manager's position rather than somebody that just sits on his chair and looks at an iPad or talks to his assistant like Russell Martin was doing. There was nothing there, so it's a lot better. That's the kind of manager I'm used to at Rangers.
But every coin has two sides. Craig and Gallant feels he thought that Rohl looked uncomfortable, and it's not the first time I've seen that said today. Did it look like Rohl looked uncomfortable to you?
Not particularly, but I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to the manager. Obviously watching it on the TV, it wasn't as clear. I wouldn't say he was uncomfortable. Probably a little bit of time in the first half when they made it 1-1. Perhaps, but yeah, I think he summed it up perfectly in his interview that there were things that he liked and probably things that he'll be picking apart over the next few days.
Yeah, and we're going to get through. I just want to ask just a question regarding Wednesday night when it comes to who could possibly play, because obviously the striking options. And I've heard this a couple of times as well, listening to some post-match stuff elsewhere. So Shona saying that Miovski was very poor today. I think we've kind of all agreed that he didn't have his best 45 minutes. But do you think he'll start with either Danilo or Chermiti, or is there potential that he could start both Danilo, good Lord, Danilo and Chermiti against Hibs, Mark, on Wednesday night?
It's a difficult one. I think he doesn't want to alienate Miovski either by saying, right, take him off for 45 and then, right, you're on the bench and you're not starting in the next game. But I think it'll depend on during the week, the next couple of days, he'll make his mind up. But I'd be happy with any combination of those three. I think it depends on how he thinks Hibs are going to set up, because it's going to be a different game. It's going to be more open because Hibs like to play football. They like to come out and attack, which obviously then benefits Miovski. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Right now, I couldn't tell you. But for me, I probably would be more on the Miovski side, because Chermiti maybe because he's scored a goal. But I think you need and a big man and a wee man. And then you've got Danilo. It's a hard one because Danilo does like to just stay in the box, and then you've got obviously Miovski likes to run as a runner. So maybe it could work. Possibly, it depends how he wants to go. But I think Hibs is going to be a different game because it's going to be more open, so there'll be more space. So I think it might lend itself to two up top, possibly, but I don't know.
Craig, do you have anything on that one? Do you think it'll be? Do you think you'll just go with the one because it is Hibs away, or would it actually benefit Chermiti to have Danilo or Miovski alongside him?
Yeah, I think the manager might be onto a system now that sort of gets the best out of the team. I wouldn't be surprised to see the two up front again. Could also in a world far away, could even see a world where all three play, because Danilo could easily play as the number 10 and have the two up front if you're going to play 5 in midfield. But I think that might be a bit step too far, game 3 into his managerial career at Rangers. But I think we'll see some combination of Chermiti or Miovski and Danilo. I think Danilo is probably a player that the manager can use as that second striker. So it's just whichever one of the other two that he wants to play up front with him.
But that's Wednesday, and we'll be all over that come the day, because we'll have all the usual pre-match and the watch along with Alex. And obviously, I will apologise for the watch along today not being up to its normal standards, with Alex having to take the day off and Martin taking over. Obviously, it was a shambles. How dare he watch the match and not actually talk to the people in the chat? Terrible. His commentary was good, though. I'll give him that. So we will apologise for that. And normal service will resume on Wednesday when Alex returns for the Hibs game. One last thing to finish it all off. One a little bit of a positive. Ronald Payton 6005. Looking forward to Wednesday. Can't say that about previous games. I think it's the first time this season we've actually gone into a game where we're going, do you know what? I'm quite looking forward to that now. See how all this goes, Mark. That is a good feeling to have, because we've not felt it much this year.
It certainly is a good feeling. I've been at my wit's end with the team this year, so it's nice to get a little bit of positivity going. So hopefully this keeps rolling on and we can win on Wednesday. Nice.
See what you did there.
I've got to get mine in, mate. I've not had one, so I've got to get mine in there. No, hopefully, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we can put Hibs to the sword and then move on to that lot at the weekend. So I'm positive but cautious. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I'll be on the post match as well. So hopefully that's a little sign we get a win again. So looking forward to that.
We haven't quite got there yet, Gallant, but we will, because we've only got one more minute to go. But we know you like an hour, so we'll get you for that. Get your money's worth. Get what you pay for. If that's what you come in for, then that's what we've got to deliver. But it was just nice, Craig, to get to a week where we can actually sit back and actually have a little bit of a smile on our face. All those up north who've got to deal with them can go to work a little bit happier. Me and you, we kind of escaped that because we don't have to worry about them. They're few and far between, and they never say anything anyway. But it's just nice to get to end of a weekend where it's not been ruined and we can actually have a little smile on our face just for a little bit.
And just think how absolutely terrible we've been, and it's just 5 points.
Just 5 points of difference to them. Unfortunately, Hearts are a bit further away. Yeah. But they can have an Aberdeen-style collapse and we can reap the benefits and we'll roll up there to the top of the league.
I think the difference with Aberdeen is they were still pretty close to Celtic when they last season.
Yeah.
I mean, they were pretty neck and neck. They didn't have a lead like Hearts have already got.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it there because there's much more of this game. We'll get unpacked more as we go through the week. Tomorrow, Martin will return with the Monday Monday, the morning Rabble, and then the afternoon Rabble will be back on. You'll have your Monday night show as well as always, and then I think that Connor and Alex will be on for the Rabble Wrestling. I'm taking the week off of the Rabble Wrestling this week, but Craig, if you're available, you feel free to jump onto that as well. There's lots going on there. And then you'll have your normal stuff through the week. Obviously, the two games, the Hibs game and the Celtic game at the end of the week, will have all the obligatory stuff going on. But if, just as it says on the banner down below there, if you do feel like you want to sign up as a member, just click it. Links are in the description. Depending on whether you're watching on mobile or laptop, it will be different, but just click the link and it will take you there, and you'll get loads of extra content. I mean, yes, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 shows tomorrow at the very least. So there we go. And don't forget, on your way out, people, to like and subscribe as well, because it does really help the channel get about on YouTube and all the other platforms. So if you're on Facebook, make sure you give it a like as well and a share. And that's the same. Like it, share it, comment on it, everything, to get it all out there for everyone to see. And we can get more people in and expand on this community, which is fast approaching 17,000 subscribers and over 500 members. So that's superb. Anyway, with that, I'll last bit just to thank Mark and Craig for joining me tonight to talk about happier times.
A pleasure.
We will see you somewhere else.